Hello, greetings and salutations. Welcome back to the BFC. I hope you guys are having a great day. Yes, what a time up here. Yes, live from Buffalo, New York, along the shores of stagnant Lake Erie. I hope you guys are having a great day. Still smoky, still getting some residual smoke from Canada. So, hey, knock it off up there. So, yeah, there's a lot to talk about. So, I decided to do this thing, and I was inspired by the that one YouTube channel that does the hot ones with the 10 hot wings. And I thought about it. I'm like, I'm going to do 10 hot stocks and 10 hot wings. This summer, I'm going to be taking this like wing challenge, just like suicidal wing challenge, where I do one wing and cover one stock. And I hope to have some of the guests I'm going to have on tonight here to witness my demise. But no, seriously, I want to see if I could take this thing to some maximum levels and still maintain composure and explain some stocks and cover some stocks. And I just think it would be just something fun to do this summer. So, why the hell not? What kind of wing sauce do you guys like? Are you guys just basic or do you get like crazy extraordinary? Who do we have in the chat? We have Brian, got my whiskey ready. Hell yeah, he does. Got his whiskey ready. And guess what? We have a bourbon of the week that we're going to do this week. I know it's been a while since I've done a bourbon of the week. I got to get back to that because I know a lot of you guys are bourbon fans. All right. Hey, Richard Morales. Hey there, but ILUS and QIND though. Oh, we're going to talk about that. Yes, absolutely. I know a lot of you guys do want to talk about that. And if you think I have an opinion on ILUS, you're absolutely correct. And let's see. Kelly, we are getting smoke. 2 stunts are growth enough already. Yeah, it's not pleasant to deal with. That's for sure. So yes, I hope that when I do that 10 wing, 10 stock challenge, that we have a big crowd. And, hey, you never know. If it's in late July, maybe Jordhuga could could join me for that. Speaking of Jordhuga, let's bring him in. Jord, welcome back to the BFC. How the hell are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me, E-Rock. Like I said, and I do look forward to coming and having some chicken wings. I had some for dinner, and there is nothing more disheartening than having the chef or the waiter come up to you with stars in their eyes and ask you how good their chicken wings are because they're the best in town, and you just have to let them know. I have a friend in Buffalo, New York. These are passable.
What's your go-to sauce?
I myself am a fan of Duff's, but really anything that balances heat and flavor, I'm for. There's a lot of different ones, and honestly, I don't think that there's one chicken wing sauce for all occasions. Sometimes you really just want to feel the endorphin rush, and other times, you just want that cool, sultry comfort of Frank's Red Hot and butter.
Yeah, balance and flavor. I hope that that's the case when I do this wing challenge. And who do we have? ILUS, yes. ILUS had me at the bar at 4:05. I think ILUS had people at the bar before then, maybe, if you were especially nervous after that PR, but we're going to talk about the PR. I'm going to save that for later. So make sure you stick around. Lance, OTC Forever, Bella, Michael Singleton, how you guys all doing? I hope you guys are having a great night. So, by the way, it was your birthday. When was it? Saturday last week?
Yeah. Once you get past the years of 21, you don't really keep track of the days anymore. But it definitely happened this year. That much I know.
You old son of a bitch. Well, happy birthday. And guys, wish him a happy birthday in the comments section.
Appreciate you.
No, I know. I appreciate you, man. Well, it's good to have you on for it's probably like our 10th round with you on the BFC. So I'm just going to keep things going here. Today, we have with us the CEO of Integrated Cannabis Solutions, ticker Igpk. And I wanted to go over the latest PR that they do have, that they put out. And this is basically all of their financials that they just reported. So let's take a look at this real quick before I bring in Mean Gene, the t-shirt machine, as I like to call him. Integrated Cannabis Solutions releases revenue update. The company's combined revenue from its 2 subsidiaries is projected to post over $900,000 for the 3 months ending June 30th, 2023. The total revenue for the second quarter could post higher than expected from sales of cannabis distillate over the last few days of June. This will be our first quarter posting revenue from Houdini Labs. Remember, that was the newest acquisition that they had. The second quarter will have outpaced the first quarter by a margin of 3, And the third quarter will post positive revenue that exceeds the second quarter. So we're seeing growth here. And I love that. We are anticipating higher quarterly numbers from Houdini Labs, thanks to a new piece of equipment recently installed, an ethanol chiller. And I'm going to ask him more about that. The extraction process is a multi-stage process, and the chiller allows Houdini to extract 60 liters of cannabis oil and refine 30 liters in a single shift. The addition of a second piece of equipment currently being sourced will double Houdini's refining power to 60 liters per shift. A second shift will be added once the new equipment has been installed, bringing the total refining power to 120 liters per day. Each liter of distillate is pre-sold before the day begins at $2,000 per liter. These are big numbers, all right? Just do the math. The new equipment, along with the second shift, is the reason we are expecting to increase revenue for the next 2 quarters, not including any future price increases in cannabis distillate. The demand for clean distillate with high potency remains strong, with no signs of slowing down. California is expected to ring up nearly $5.9 billion in cannabis sales in 2023. Cannabis has taken its place as one of California's leading agriculture products, rivaling or exceeding 2 key crops. In 2022, great production in the state, known for its world-class wine industry, though I got to say, I'm an Australia, New Zealand guy, was valued at $5.5 billion, followed by almonds of $3.5 billion. So this is obviously a booming industry. This is great news. And yes, I just did plug New Zealand wine, so I'm sorry, California, I did that. But let's bring him in. CEO of IGPK Integrated Cannabis Solutions, Gene Caiazzo. Gene, welcome back again to Buffalo Fireside Chats. How you doing?
Always great to see you. And extra hot garlic parm, please.
Extra hot garlic parm. I've had them, and I love garlic parm wings. And that you just brought up a good point. It was 2 years ago, and George, you know Barbell. You've heard of Barbell.
Oh, yeah.
We got the garlic parm there, and it was like, you're thinking like an Italian-based seasoning. Like, this can't be good. I was actually blown away with how good the garlic parm wings were. So
Gene's onto it. There's nothing better than having that intermediary, right? Like either the spice that cuts through the fattiness of the garlic parm, or vice versa. You add like a little richness to round out the spiciness. Like that is just a really, really good a good option. But you got to find somebody who can make it properly. I assume Gene knows the place.
And the real question is blue cheese or ranch?
Oh.
So you're talking to 2 New Yorkers. There's only one answer, my friend.
There's one answer. Don't worry, we won't judge you.
I did 28 years hard time up there. There's only one answer.
Oh man, that's crazy. Yes. I like the Rudy's. I like the Rudy's blue cheese. Now, let's be real. IGPK shareholders were tiptoeing on the edge of the cliff, and they were concerned that the skull and crossbones was going to be thrown up. And I'm going to be real, between like everything happening. And we're going to touch base on the IR firm and auditors. I mean, it was a clusterfuck. I mean, so you're back. You made it. I think you've proved a lot of people wrong. Let's explain the process and how did you do it? And just go for it, Gene.
IGPK and Consolidated both have been audited before. So the auditing process, we understand. I'm trying not to throw anybody under the bus here. I can only tell you the company produced every document needed in a timely fashion. And we were consistently promised 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. The real problem was 2 weeks ago, we were promised 3 weeks. 3 weeks would have brought us up to the cusp of the skull and crossbones. I couldn't take that chance. So we're reporting the next round, certainly Q4, but Q3, we should be able to do fully audited financials. I want to do fully audited. Reporting is accepted, but audited, it says something for audited in your numbers.
Well, absolutely. And you have 2021 done. You have 2022 done. And, you're waiting on 2022.
Yeah, it's done. 2022,
Yeah.
It was and then they hit us right at the very end saying, well, we don't know if we view this as a reverse merger. And we're like, well, how long will it change? Because it really did. And that's when they gave us an additional 3 weeks. And we were not going to take the chance of the skull and crossbones. It wasn't an option.
Yeah. And that has to do too, I think, isn't it based on the percentage of the company owned? So, right. So if you're under that 50%, right?
There's a lot of arguments here, but I'm not going to get into it. I'm going to leave it with the accountants. I will only say I'm really proud of our financial team. They pulled everything together that needed to be done. And I will say, for me, it was a learning process in that whole side of things. Just because you hand everybody pristine books doesn't mean it all happens overnight.
Well, it's funny because that the tweet came out basically about the delisting, and you were doing this to avoid CE, and I remember like just people like freaking out, and I'm like, oh shit. I go and I text, I go, dude, that thing was I go, that was the most weirdly worded tweet I read, and you cleared it up, and you were actually pretty fired up because you didn't want it to come to this, that this wasn't the point.
Yeah. I'm usually fairly verbose. I got nothing. Shock and awe is the best I can tell you.
Hey, so are you actually working on a new IR firm right now?
No.
All right. All right. I figured I would ask. If you guys have any questions for Gene, put them in the comments section. Yeah, I know, Brian's IGPK was down again with this news. Wow. But you know what? You can't control the share price. I mean, it's
I can't, we're where we need to be. Revenues are going up. Profits are going to go up along with it. And the market will do as the market sees fit.
Yeah. Yes, it will. Lance says, is that water you're drinking? We're the good stuff.
Oh,
trust me. Well,
listen,
you.
I was like, I got nothing.
I'm saving the good stuff for the most necessary point of the show tonight.
I drank all the good stuff trying to get the audit done.
Yeah. Oh, so in talking now, you guys have some. It's a new sexy lingerie. No, I'm so sorry. It's a new hoodie. You guys got new hoodies.
It's just a quality piece of apparel, and we went easy. We only took a few thousand pieces to start, and we placed our first orders about 3 weeks ago. We've already placed our second order for considerably more because the first order sold out, and there's only 3 of them in existence. They'll start hitting the shores probably October.
That's great news.
Oh no, that's great. I mean, they just sucked them right up. Everybody, it's all in the hand, felt it. They know our quality already, and we're like, just bring them in. We'll take them.
Yeah, and I just want to say, I actually went live. It was a Monday, and I was wearing the BFC Native Outfitter swag, Well,
so, the sweatshirts will make it in time for winter.
Well, I'm looking forward to trying one of those puppies on. So Houdini, where do you see revenues going overall? And George, hop in at any moment, just because this is nice just to do an update. Where do you see between Houdini and Native Outfitters revenues going leading into 2024? Do you feel comfortable where you're totally smashed 2023 out of the park?
Well, I mean, in 2024, I'm not scared because I know what's going on in cannabis in California. There's a huge consolidation going on, of which we won't fall under. And the price per liter is going through the roof. We get to pick our business. And that's one of the nice things because our distillate is all from 92 to 97%. So we're on the very high end of things. So it's to the point where they'll have to turn away business.
That's amazing. That's great work, and it seems like that's the good market. That's a good part of the marijuana market that you want to be in.
That's the part we want to be in. I don't want to grow it. I don't want it. No.
Yes, they're not the store, and like I know there's places around here about in certain regions that you're looking at 15 cannabis shops like within like 2 square miles of each other, and it's like this is not going to sustain itself.
I mean, there's a lot of people, but not that many.
Yeah. And so you're basically supplying to all these other companies that are going to be selling. So that's the part that the distillate is going to be sold to.
More we supply to their suppliers.
Got it.
Yeah. And we are looking into, and we'll get into packaging for them. We're already into that. So right now we're, but we will look into packaging the small cartridges and what have you.
Yeah. That's exciting, and it's good to be at that, like I said, at that part of the business.
It's just weird because talking about this 10 years ago, everybody like, oh, you can't talk about that.
You're dreaming, man. Never gonna happen, dude.
I was by myself going,
You know, it's just it's a funny thing. Nobody thought that, and it was very like, you know, now it's just like everywhere. You know, it's like
yeah.
it's just normal. It's normal too.
Yeah,
Like,
it's commonplace now.
and it's regulated. They could have been making the government could have been making a lot more money had they done this sooner.
It was really great for the. I don't know about up in Buffalo. We had a bunch of empty banks down here. They were all now distributed.
Right now, there is actually. I read something that there is actually a cannabis. Like they have so much cannabis up here, they don't know what to do with it because all these people applied for the New York State license, and I know people that did. I know people that own shops, and I'm just laughing because everybody was doing it. I know 4 people that did it, and it's like right now it's like there's so much competition that there's no competition. Like because like the people that really are excelling at it got in way early, and then it became like the cool thing to do. I'm going to get certified for this. I'm going to do this, that, and the other, and it's sort of back for now. There is, I mean, there's laws like people like grow marijuana plants in their yard. You know, at this point, you know, if they're just a casual smoker, you know, now it's like a whole thing. If you would have told me there would have been like gummies and shakes and all kinds of shit like that, like I would have never thought that. But it's pretty cool. What did Brian say here? My buddy had a marijuana sales license 10 years before it went legal. Smart guys, and that's yeah, unboxing bastard. It's almost free. It's really, really, really remarkable. So just to see where we're at and how far we've come. So, Durjek, I don't know if I'm saying that right, sir. How is your company different from other cannabis companies?
It's not all we do is process, and that's what most companies didn't focus on. That they either wanted to grow it, they wanted to distribute it, they wanted to be in retail, and the fact that we're able to produce distillate between 92 and 97% pure, it puts us a cut above the rest. That's the only thing that makes us different. We have the equipment, and we're able to do it.
Excellent.
Yeah, one of the things, Gene, I think about often when I think about your business model is how often it parallels the last gold rush in California, which was literal gold. And so very much like what it seems like you're trying to do is that there's millions of gold miners, or in this case, you know, pot shops trying to make money. But the money is actually to be made in the people that sell the picks and shovels to the people that show up trying to get rich. And it sounds like you've positioned yourself to be the pick and shovel seller rather than trying to be the next OTC shop or the next marijuana shop, rather.
Exactly. You know, or I even do it like the petroleum industry. People bring us their crude oil, we process it for them, and off it goes. And
Excellent
the nice
stuff.
thing is, it's a highly scalable business.
The fact that you're supplying the suppliers is, I think, the most important element here, right? Because that is going to be needed. It doesn't matter how many shops there are in each corner; they're going to need suppliers. It's sort of like wholesale food. You know what I mean? Like the Cisco truck that comes in and delivers to everybody. You know what I mean? There's somebody supplying them, and that's the moneymaker right there. Lance did have a question for you. Is there any acquisition in the future? I know you guys just got Houdini, so do you have anything else lined up?
Right now, there's well, we've been looking at, and when we say distribution, transportation. Don't use the word distribution. It's a little different. We've been looking at transportation in the cannabis marketplace. Hasn't happened yet. We're certainly looking at growth through the Bahamas still for the consolidated side of life. That is not an acquisition. That would be, organic growth once again.
Right on. Guys, any other questions for Gene while I have him here? Gene, thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
I always love coming on. And you were talking about chicken wings, near and dear to my heart. If it isn't chicken wings, marijuana, or a shirt, I don't want to hear about it.
Okay, Durjek has one more question for you. Basically, where is the market for your products?
If you're talking about on the marijuana side, we don't build that market. The market exists itself. We're driven by demand. We don't have to create the market. The market creates itself. We just fulfill the demand that's there. If you're talking about shirts and sweatshirts and everything else, the market exists. The markets that we target are brick and mortar establishments. We do very little on the internet. We're planning on expanding that a little bit in a different brand so it doesn't affect us at all. But we support mom and pops America. Brick and mortar hotels, marinas, sports shops. That's who we target. That's who we work with. And all of our products are customized for them. So they're not buying Nike to sell a Nike shirt. They're buying a Native Outfitters or a private label shirt with their name on it. It changes everything.
All right. Great answer. Wayward. And I know who this is. Brad. And he works doing trucking. So how will you transport? Truck, train?
Well,
you better say truck. You better say truck right now. I'm just kidding.
Right now it's trucks and it's interstate because you can't use the interstate highways theoretically. So it'll all be mostly local deliveries in state.
Got it.
Truck van kind of thing.
Yeah. Excellent. All right, Brad. I hope you enjoyed that answer. See, he said truck. He's a good friend.
I got to run, boys. Hey.
Yeah. Gene, great. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me, man. I love being on.
Thanks, Gene. It's always nice talking to you.
Thank you. Have a great day, guys.
All right. We'll catch up in a month or so. He's great to have on. Yeah, it's great to have the openness here on the BFC with people that are in the trenches. Yeah, he's a character. I like having him on the show. And I can't wait to try one of his hoodies. Seriously. So I think the one thing that I think we could all take from that, which is pretty cool, is that he supplies the suppliers. This isn't like it's not a pot shop. So yeah. How many shares of that you got, Jordan?
Off the top of my head, I'm not even sure. Not enough. I definitely need more. But like I said, just like they supply the suppliers, I think that the service that you provide that's so amazing is that, it allows people to keep coming back on without having to set up, 1 or 2 interviews a year. And so it just offers accessibility that the shareholders don't traditionally have. Right. Anytime the CEO or anybody who's speaking on behalf of the company wants to come on, as long as they reach out to you, hey, they can just jump on into another show, right? It doesn't even matter. You got 5 minutes, you want to say something. And I just think that's super beneficial to the shareholders at large, because traditionally we haven't really had those open lines of communication in the OTC.
Well, that's what we're going to build here, and that's what we want to bring to the investor. And listen, we're all in trading, we all like to invest, but I want this to be an investor's channel. I'm looking for those companies that have a plan, that are laying a solid foundation, and that have something that is going to change the world and really make things a better place, make the world a better place. And speaking about making positive changes, my next guest is looking to literally transform the shrimp industry. And we're talking about ticker GRPS, Trans American Aquaculture. Let's take a look at their security details real quick before we bring him in. We have GRPS right here. Where am I? Come on. What the heck? If I don't get to it, it's no big deal. All right. So 003, and we are looking at 3 billion authorized shares, 1.3 billion outstanding shares, 306 million of those being restricted, and about 1 billion unrestricted share. 1 billion unrestricted outstanding shares. Sorry. So those are their security details. They do have a nice website too. Make sure you check that out. I'll put that in the description so that way you guys could have a look. And I think I might have put something already. If you guys actually scroll to the top of the chat, I put in some DD and some links there for you to look at. So yeah. So take a look at that. Those are the security details for GRPS. So without further hesitation, let's bring in the CEO, Adam Thomas. Adam Thomas, welcome back to the BFC. How you doing, sir?
Good, man. Good. Thanks for having me. And I'm going to go medium, borderline hot, just buffalo sauce. Not
medium?
Nothing super fancy.
And I remember last time you said as long as it's deep fried and covered in sauce, you'd be happy with it.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Well, when I do that wing challenge, I'll definitely have you on so I can embarrass myself with with a good shrimper.
With pleasure. With pleasure.
So welcome back. Why don't you give us a business update on how things are going overall? I have a couple questions for you, but take it away.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we were on about a month and a half ago. So yeah, a lot has transpired between, in the last 45 days or so. So we have been able to start, like, we've completed all of our hatchery cycle before phase 1 and phase 2. We have phase 3, which will be coming up over the next week and a half or so. So what that means is we start with the mating cycle, then they move into the hatchery when they get through their larval stages. The shrimp get to a certain size, and then we move them into the nurseries, which prepares them, gets them nice and robust and healthy before we move into the grow out ponds. So we are that first batch. I think we were just getting the hatchery stocked when we talked last time. So that first batch is getting ready to go in the grow out ponds. Our plan is to put them in the grow out ponds starting this weekend. So we're pretty excited about that. The first batch, I think I put, it was either last weekend or either Monday of this week, I put kind of an updated snapshot or a little video of kind of the juveniles and where they're at right now. So they're jumping, excited, ready to go, really healthy, really uniform, which is what you look for in, the genetics and things like that. It just helps you kind of plan for, the growth rates, growth cycles, and then kind of what your overall volume is going to look like. So phase 1 of our PLs are now juveniles. They're ready to go in the ponds. We have phase 2, which is about 2 weeks behind that. So they'll go into the ponds probably in the next 10 to 14 days. And then phase 3, which is in the hatchery right now, we'll look to get those into the nurseries probably in the next 14, 20 days. And then they'll go into the ponds probably about another 2 weeks after that. So from a standpoint of cultivating shrimp, we are rocking and rolling. Everything's, there they are. Yeah, that's the video that we posted earlier this week. So those PLs, those juveniles are ready to go. They are
That was
ready.
cool. That was a cool video.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, from the standpoint of growing shrimp, things are going pretty well. We're progressing towards our plan, which is really exciting for us. And then, we've been focusing a lot too in one of my so every 2 weeks, it's been about every 15 days right now. I post a newsletter, just kind of giving updates to the people that have signed up, shareholders, investors, prospective investors, whatever it may be. So just kind of giving some production updates, kind of corporate updates as well. And so, just kind of one of the things we mentioned, we hired a VP of business development for India and Southeast Asia. So one of the things that we've been talking about since we went public via the reverse merger is that there's a lot of interest in the genetics of our shrimp. And that is, like, we're not just getting interest in the United States here for PL development, we're getting interest for broodstock, so the formal genetics. And so we hired a gentleman by the name of Raj Kumar Galapali. So he'll be based in India, and he'll be working on establishing kind of the business development for us to sell broodstock into India. So he was actually at the farm this past week. We put together our kind of 6, 12, 18-month business development plan, which includes, getting the foot on the ground, getting approved for everything in India. And then kind of after we've established that, looking to expand further into Southeast Asia. So, 2 of the real main goals that we highlighted when we had our initial shareholder call about everything that's going on back in September of last year, our 2 main goals were profitable harvest season and become the number 2 producer by volume and by revenue in the United States. Wow. We are on track for that. And then also to start looking at also domestic and international options to sell our genetics and our broodstock, so we can bring kind of, all the great qualities that we have in our shrimp, start to try and impact foreign environments, international environments, where we know that there's kind of been historically some issues with that. But being able to put our stamp on that, kind of broadens our reach and our horizon with what we're able to do in terms of the responsibly raised, strong genetics, chem-free, antibiotic-free, all sorts of stuff that we kind of tout with our shrimp. So it's been a pretty productive couple months in terms of the production cycle. So
yeah. Absolutely. It sounds amazing. I know we did have a question here. Was your target production volume and revenue in 2023? And I think you just sort of covered on that. But if you want to put it in a simple terms, just so we could sort of gauge that.
Yeah, we're shooting for right now we're shooting for about 800,000 to 1 million pounds. I give that kind of variance because it's going to be market driven. So right now we're kind of keeping an eye on what's going on with Ecuador and China and India and all that. Our pricing power falls right in the middle of kind of like your Gulf wilds. So Forrest Gump shrimp, we'll put it that way. And then your import commodities. So we fall pretty much right in the middle of those two. The wild caught for this year was a little bit lower, so the price has been kind of holding pretty steady. Commodity prices are all over the place because there's a lot of things going on in China and Ecuador right now. So, our revenue, our production targets will be if the price and the margin is good on a little bit smaller size, we may decide to pull the shrimp out a little bit earlier. If it continues to be that bigger size, which we're shooting for right now, which is like a 28 gram, 21, 25 tail type size. So about that big.
Wow.
We're shooting for that right now. We'll be closer to that million. If we take it out earlier, we'll be a little bit under that. And then overall revenue targets, we're looking in the 4 million plus range for the year. We've had to pare that back since our initial projections from last year, just due to some issues that we had basically getting workers. We historically have used a visa program, but that was an issue this year. So we've had to bring on local help, hire them, train them, get them up to speed. So we're in a really good spot right now, but it has caused a little bit of kink in the plan, kind of the overall progression of the plan. But our main goal is, to hit our targets in terms of production, and then get that bottom line number in the black for the end of the year.
Great answer. Durjek, I hope that answers your question. That's really good answer. The harvest is, so will you're only gonna have one harvest this year, correct?
It's going to kind of be like a rolling harvest. So the way that we're doing it this year is we're stocking like in phases. So we're not trying to harvest every single pond at one time. Now we are doing a few things to increase the efficiency of our harvest, because historically we've had to move our harvesters from pond to pond to pond. So what we're doing this year is we're starting to grade some of the we'll call it the exit canals, where we'll have the ability to kind of harvest through the canals. And that'll allow us to basically 3x our harvest capacity. So where we would potentially, or where we've historically been able to do about 2 ponds a night, which we're looking at anywhere from 10 to 20,000 pounds of shrimp a night, we'll be able to do upwards of 6 ponds a night. So that for us allows us to do it allows us for a quicker harvest cycle. It gives us a little bit more of a break, so that we're not breaking everybody's backs harvesting every night for 60 straight days. We'll be able to harvest more strategically, but also quicker. And so we'll be much more, able to basically meet the logistical issues that we're going to have as well. So, for us, it's just, that harvest cycle is going to be kind of rolling from your September all the way through October and into November, depending on the size we go to.
Thanks for answering that. Now, a couple people, and I forgot to ask you this the last time I had you on, and I saw a couple of the questions. And Jordan, if you want to cut me off at any time, feel free, because I only have a couple other questions. But this is one that I had to ask because I missed it in the comment section. And Rob did remind me. Producer Rob, thank you very much for reminding me, because I almost forgot again. But weather, in regards to hurricanes, floods, and even bird attacks. I remember on Twitter I saw somebody had a really good question about birds are predatory,
Yep.
and will they attack these shrimp ponds?
Oh yeah.
So if you could just fill us in on the effect of weather and bird attacks.
Yeah. So right now, the farm does not discharge any water. So what that means is we recirculate all the water that comes into the farm, and then through natural evaporation, that's kind of how we lose we'll lose pretty decent amount, because it is very hot down in southern Texas. I mean, I was there 2 weeks ago. One of the days I was there 2 weeks ago was 120 with the heat index. So it gets pretty baking hot down there. So from that standpoint, we've had hurricanes come through in the past. The wind is the real main issue, just related to our machinery and equipment. So we have most of our machinery and equipment, our pumps, our motors, they're enclosed, we'll call them little houses, like pump houses and things like that. Our warehouse and our hatchery, maturation, and those buildings are hurricane rated up to, I think, 130 mile an hour. So we're pretty comfortable there in terms of that, but we have seen some things. Now, the rain, for example, when we get a hurricane, that's kind of one of the big issues, is the amount of rain we get, because it changes the salinity of the ponds. And so what we need to keep an eye on with that is, it doesn't kill the shrimp by any stretch of the imagination. If anything, it just kind of slows them down a little bit from a growth perspective until the evaporation continues and the salinity levels go up a little bit. So even when we had the hurricane 2 years ago that rolled through the farm, we basically, when you look at a growth chart, it maybe dipped a gram a week for about 2 weeks, and then it kicked right back up where it was. So no additional mortality, no additional loss or anything like that. It was just kind of a slowing down, kind of like a break period. It's always a concern, especially in the part of Texas where we're at, where things have been going climate wise and whatnot. It's a catch-22, because it's been warmer for longer. So that increases our growth cycle by since we started the farm in 2017, we're looking at almost like an additional month and a half to 2 months. So that's a lot of growth period right there. But again, with that extreme change, we also have, with the months of January and February, we have to be careful because we can get kind of those jet stream dips where we get the low temperatures. So we typically don't have any shrimp in the open air ponds at that point in time anyway. So we like to be done with the harvest in November. We'll start stocking in March when we have the consistency in temperature across the board. Related to the predatory birds, those are an issue. There's no secret about that. There's cormorants. They like shrimp. Luckily, we do everything. We have all the right depredation permitting with Texas Park and Wildlife to make sure that, we are able to address that issue. We've tried air cannons. We've tried, other methods of deterrence. We'll put it that way, that have been somewhat effective. But yeah, you're always going to have some of that, kind of some of that with the open air ponds and just the sheer size of the farm. So, as we look to stock more intensely over the next couple of years, we'll take additional measures for that. But where we're at right now, the loss is negligible. We'd call it like less than 1% type thing.
All right. And Lance did have a question. How many ponds do you have, and what was the long-term goal for how many ponds? And he was just clarifying. So each pond could produce 20,000 pounds of shrimp.
So each pond can produce about 10,000 pounds of shrimp right now with the stocking densities we go to. Eventually, we'll be looking to go well in excess of that. So you'll be looking, there's farms in South America with the right aeration, the right amount of circulation. They're getting like 10 tons per hectare, which each one of our ponds in the northern section is 2 hectares. So back into the math on that, it's an insane amount of shrimp that they're getting out. So right now, the northern half, we have this, the farm is split into a northern half and a southern half. The northern half, we have 72, we'll call it commissioned ponds. Right now, we're going a little higher density in some of those ponds. So we're probably going to keep it to 48 to 50 for the year that we'll do. But we'll also we have a big pond too that we like to do a lot of trials with. But that big pond is 30 acres. So it gives us a lot of shrimp output on that pond as well. So, but the overall farm itself, has about 140 ponds. Now, the main difference between the northern section and the southern section is the northern section has, like I said, 72 ponds that are commissioned at about 5 acres apiece. We do have a big 30-acre pond. The southern section, which is what we're looking to probably expand into for next year, that has 62 ponds that are 10 acres apiece. So that is a much kind of more, it's a bigger outfit in terms of just overall land area, but also in terms of like the simplicity. It's just, there's less ponds, but they're much bigger in size. So anywhere from 130 to 140, we have some additional land where we may develop a couple more ponds. It'll all depend, like maybe trial ponds, maybe from other kind of like, kind of symbiotic species that we may put in there.
Literally double in size.
It's actually it almost triples it in size in terms of the amount of production.
Wow.
Yeah.
George, did you have something?
Yeah, I did. So my question is a little bit further down the line, but because of the huge issue just in general across the board and the shrimp industry, is there any plans that you have about promoting or touting your shrimp as a healthier, better version, being that you're going to be able to verifiably show that you have no heavy metals and this and that, having a closed-end system and competing against people who don't have the consumer's best interests at heart for their products?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And part of that is like there's industry like certifications out there. One of them is the best aquaculture practices that's issued by the Global Seafood Alliance. So that is something we're actively working on. Whether or not we get there by the time we come to the harvest is going to be dependent on a lot of different factors. It's a pretty rigorous audit program. And so like our main focus this year is shrimp in the ponds, shrimp out of the ponds, collect the money, make sure that bottom number line has is in black, not in red. But that certification will definitely kind of support all of the things that we tout and all the things that we know that we do from our shrimp's perspective. So like I said, no discharge, no effect to the local environment because we don't affect the local ecosystem. We don't discharge any of the water back into the local effluent. Also, we don't use antibiotics. Heavy metals are monitored for and addressed. And then also there's, we can be completely chem-free as well. So depending on the product of what the customers want, we can be completely chem-free. And that means quick processing, flash freezing, getting that essentially out of the ponds. And then 6 hours later, it's already frozen. So like you get that flash freezing, almost methodology to it. So But then also too, domestic product to the United States. We have some serious requirements through Texas Park and Wildlife that we have to adhere to, but then also from a processing standpoint with the FDA. So all the facilities that we use are FDA approved, FDA certified, and as part of the, like I said, the best acceptable or best aquaculture practices program that we're looking at, there's a whole menagerie of sustainability things in there as well that will definitely start pumping out as we get closer to harvest. So for us, branding is going to be super important, especially because we're going to be in a niche market for for a little bit of time here. Even when the farm is fully pumping and running, and we've got every single pond running 2.5 cycles a year, we've got everything going at 100% efficiency. We're still only going to be a small dent in terms of what we can produce at the farm. At that point, branding is going to be super important. Pricing power will be super important. But then also kind of how can we expand that into other, we'll call it system developments for the shrimp. We have the ability to expand the farm that we currently have in some manner. We can probably add another 500 acres pretty easily. So we'll just have to see, kind of how it goes. But branding is going to be super important for us. And it's going to be a lot of focus around the responsibility that we take in raising the shrimp, the traceability, really formalizing the kind of like, we'll call it like the lineage of growth. So like right now, we'll call it, let's say, 90 days from now, shrimp hits the market, shrimp hits your plate, Eric. And you say, Adam, tell me where the shrimp came from. And I can tell you, processed on this day, harvested on this day, came from this pond, came from this nursery, this batch in the hatchery.
Wow.
For its parents. These are the genetic testing that was done on the parents and also on the shrimp that was grown. So for us, developing kind of like I wouldn't say like QR coding to say, okay, here's the chain of custody of my shrimp type thing, but that might be something that might become available to us. But that overall kind of transparency from farm to table definitely is something that we'll be incorporating into our branding and as we get closer to the harvest.
Love the farm to table idea. I love companies that are actually trying to better our food supply, and those are some great answers. And I always know you're going to give me detail, and you're going to give the BFC detail, and that you have. And I do want to acknowledge Lance. He did ask GRPS own all the land or leasing, and you've mentioned it before. These guys own it all. So
yep.
Yeah, it's excellent. John's Gold and Silver. Hey guys, John from John's Gold and Silver. That's my impression of you. I hope you do jumbo shrimp too. He has sort of a Norm Macdonald delivery. Those tickle my taste buds. John, great to have you on the show. And Lisa Matthews has a question. And Wayward says, can't wait to see the harvest videos. The harvest videos are going to be cool. I can't wait to taste the harvest. Lisa Matthews says, and hello, Lisa, how are you? What is the profit and profit margin per ton, or however you weigh them?
Yeah, so we usually do it like, I guess you could say the big difference between how the US and the rest of the world does it is pounds versus kilos. So we measure it in pounds. So when you look at it from a per pound basis, we like our margin. We're shooting for our margin this year to be 20 to 25%. Now, obviously, as we scale up and get bigger, that margin will increase just through the economies of scale and things like that. But we do it on a per pound basis. And then that's kind of how I look at things. The guys at the farm who are the South American farmers that have been doing this for 40 years, they look at it on a per pound yield, a per pond yield, and then also the profit margin on a per pond basis. So that goes into kind of all the forecasts and the metrics and things like that we look at, because some ponds just have natural productivity where the shrimp grow quicker, we get higher, less mortality rates and things like that. It's just kind of natural productivity and factors in the ponds. So they look at it more like when they're looking at their metrics, they look at it from a standard of what am I getting of the yield and what's my profit margin per pond. I look at it more from a holistic. We sold 1 million pounds of shrimp. I sold it for X. It cost me Y. This Z is my margin.
Great. And here's another question from Wayward. Are you the processor or do you sell to the processors? That's a really good question, actually.
So interestingly enough, we have every single pound of shrimp that we've sold historically has gone to the processors. So like they've processed and bought at the same time. Now that's a very nice thing because that gives us an account receivable of 0 days, which is really nice from a cash conversion. We don't process at the farm right now. It just doesn't make sense from the standpoint of building a processing, like to make a processing plant economically viable, you have to keep it busy quite often. So if we were to build something at the farm right now, we would need to bring in shrimp from outside the farm, and that gets a little tricky in terms of what we're trying to do and being able to control the life cycle, the responsibility, the disease, kind of the biosecurity as well. As we scale up over the next few years, it may make sense to put in some sort of like kind of quick line, which is like wash the shrimp, process, freeze, pack, and get it out the door. It may make sense to do something like that. If we want to do value add, that's a whole completely different ball of wax. Like value add has to be a consistent, and when I say value add, I mean like breaded coconut shrimp or something like that you see in a bowl. That value add pricing would have to be there to support the extra amount of dollars that have to go into a processing plant that can do the value added products.
Man, great question and great answer. And Eric has a question here. Any news on the new ticker symbol? And I know you guys are working on an official name change too, correct?
Eric with the little pin in the side here. So yes, we're working on this. It's been a painful process. We'll just put it that way. We originally submitted the application back in February, and there's just been a lot of back and forth, a lot of things that we've had to clean up related to just the kind of like the chain of title of the entity itself. So nothing game stopping. It's just these things take time to clean up. We are at a point now where we have given FINRA everything that they need. So we're literally waiting to hear from FINRA. The last item that we had to clean up has been over the last week and a half or so. So for us now, it's waiting for any additional comments, see if there's anything else we need to clean up. But we are anxiously awaiting the ticker symbol change and the name change, the formal name change of the company, so that we can, start to, go off on our own here and get kind of out of the GRPS, the ticker and name.
Great. Thank you for clarifying that. E-Rock, get a real drink. Oh, I'm going to. T-minus 5 minutes. Hey, Adam, dude, thanks for coming on. I mean, it's always a pleasure having you. I look forward to touching base with you again in the coming weeks to month and hear about all the great progress over there.
No, I really appreciate you having me on. And yeah, anytime, fellow Buffalonian. So
we're going to get together next time when you come up for a Bills game. Yeah, this guy's originally from Buffalo. Yep. So we're definitely going to knock back some wings. So
we'll do the hot ones intake. We'll also pull in
I'm actually nervous that I'm going to commit to do this for the show. And I just think I want to do something a little bit different. And I just think it'd be fun, because people could laugh at my expense. So, but that's what this is all about, right?
Absolutely.
All right, Adam, thank you for joining the BFC.
Appreciate it, man. Have a good one.
Thanks, Adam.
Thanks, man.
Man, two of my favorite guests. That was excellent. Man, tons of information, dude, right? Like, seriously.
Yeah, I love it. I'm so bullish on shrimp that I'm taking my investment prawn.
Speaking of bullish, all right, I actually want to get to we have a couple more things to get to. Oh, we have a lot to get to. We still have a lot to get to. It's a big show today. It's a big show. But speaking of bullish, I gotta talk a little bit about a new ticker that I've been covering. One, I called it at 131, 1.31 cents. And check this out. This is the next one. What I'm looking at here is IFUS. Let's check this out right here. Sitting at almost 3 cents now. And I think this has a lot of room to run because they have a revolutionary product that can literally transform the cattle industry. And one thing that I would never one thing I never thought I'd talk about is on the show is cattle. But you know what? I'm a huge Butcher Box fan. I love the farm to door, as I was just talking with Adam about. That is important to me. Quality food, the quality food that we put in our bodies, that we eat. I like having fresh food, and I love meat, like I said in the last episode. So look, they have more restricted shares than unrestricted, and they've had a gain. They were up over 100%, but we're seeing some consolidation here, and that's fine with me. I don't want to see this thing shoot right through the roof, but they have a product that is going to potentially revolutionize the cattle industry, and it's even more than that. But I wanted to share something with you guys that they actually finally put out, and this is that's sort of funny. Well, here it is. The professor put this out. So let me explain the story of IFUS SAG. If it had, now there's basically like the SPG, and then there's a SAG, which is basically done for oil cleanup, which is really, really wild stuff. Let's take a look at this. If it had been available during the massive Horizon Gulf of Mexico oil spill, they made a movie about. The IFUS sag could have airdropped on top of the oil spill floating on the surface, and it would soak up the oil and then biodegrade it all into healthy soil. No damage to wildlife, fish, or birds. No need to collect it. No need to transport it. No need to incinerate it. No need to landfill it. Not legal anyway to landfill crude oil spill. So it's basically beneficial to the wetlands, and it's perfect solution for to oil that gets into hard to reach wetlands. So that is one of the parts of IFUS that I just found, and we can take that one off. But and we don't need that one either. We'll just take that one off, Rob. Because I'm going to show them a video that actually has all this in it and more. It's pretty cool that. And he was explaining this to me. When I do talk to the professor, sometimes a lot of what he says goes over my head. He's very technical. He has a lot of, a lot of detail, but that's what you want when you're investing in a company. You want as much detail. Like when Adam's talking about shrimp, when he's talking about the process, he's not saying it's a good process. He's giving you all the details that's going into it. And so as an investor, that makes me more satisfied when I see more details, when I see transparency, when I see them respond to emails. And even like Adam talking about like doing like the new newsletter and stuff. Hey, keep doing that, because you know what? That's one thing that investors love. So I actually want to share this video with you guys. And this is something that was shared to me. And this just goes to show what they are going to be able to do to the cattle industry. So let's roll this.
Supreme Gold Plus, a game changer for cattle ranchers. In response to the escalating complexities of raising cattle, a revolutionary solution has arrived in the form of Supreme Gold Plus. This breakthrough nutritional feed supplement is setting new standards for safety, effectiveness, cost efficiency, and environmental sustainability for cattle ranchers. SGP Plus is created from sugarcane bagasse and Nutrimestic, an enriched blend of mastic gum and ionic minerals. This scientific and proprietary formula enhances nutrient absorption, resulting in momentous gains for the herd's health and well-being. All the ingredients in SGP Plus have been approved by the Food and Drug Administration and the United States Department of Agriculture, underscoring its unparalleled safety. In comprehensive studies, SGP Plus has consistently demonstrated its positive impact on cattle health and the production of superior quality meat. Ranchers already using SGP Plus have confirmed the effectiveness of the feed supplement in their herds. It has been instrumental in enhancing estrus cycles, boosting the overall health of progeny, and improving meat integrity. The product has also been linked to a significant reduction in the use of antibiotics, a further testament to its role in promoting robust livestock health. One of the most compelling advantages of SGP Plus is its potential for significant cost savings. By incorporating SGP Plus into the feed mix, ranchers can reduce reliance on expensive feedstocks. Transitioning the herd to a 60% SGP Plus diet can reduce forage by up to 60%, resulting in considerable annual savings, particularly during the non-grazing season. In terms of environmental impact, SGP Plus offers profound benefits. It contributes to a reduction in manure and urine volume, lessens the ammonia smell in urine, and significantly decreases carbon emissions, resulting in a cleaner, more sustainable agricultural and global environment. Long-term observations by ranchers has unveiled remarkable results, including reduced fly and pest infestation, decreased urea odors, and enhanced milk production. Additionally, the need for high-priced and high-energy feeds is reduced, leading to a restored natural probiotic balance, substantial savings, and improved refinement of herd health and performance. Supreme Gold Plus represents a remarkable leap forward in solving contemporary agricultural issues through innovation. Its wide array of advantages marks it as an indispensable asset for eco-friendly cattle management. It paves the way for a future where harmony between environmental responsibility and economic prosperity can both succeed.
So yeah, I mean, if they're able to get that product, in the hands. I mean, Jordan, what's your take? I know you've been sort of following it as well, but I mean, I mean, revolutionary product, revolutionize the industry.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a $1 billion idea. I mean,
well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's $1 billion idea if you think ideas are free. I would say it's $100 billion idea. There's so many things right with it, not even taking into account just the wonderful timing. The United States government just at least reduced or put a kibosh on just arbitrarily disseminating, antibiotics to all the different cattle. So anything that's going to be able to help that and keep the cattle well or healthy, when the go-to standard before was just artificially giving them antibiotics, is going to be helpful. That I travel all over the place and have had the pleasure of meeting many of the fine Americans that grow our food and raise our meat and our poultry. And every one of them usually hangs out at a coffee shop or a diner or some similar establishment at about 5 o'clock in the morning, just to hang out with the boys for a minute and just talk about the day before they go out and actually go get it. If anything gets on the market that can save them money per cow, anything that they can get that's going to save them money per animal, is going to not only be adopted relatively easily and early, but then of course everyone else is going to constantly be doing the same stuff, just because it is literally a game, very much like the weed business now. Is there's so many people doing it that there's actually a race to the bottom, right? They're all just racing. They still want to make money, but the only way to make money when there's so many other competitors is to just basically keep undercutting your competitors' prices. Well, in the dairy and cattle and meat industry, that they have been looking for answers like this, and commodities such as hay and feed are going through the roof because of the uncertainty of the weather and all kinds of other issues. And so commodities prices have skyrocketed in different areas. Having the ability to get something that's both more shelf stable, reduces methane emissions, saves you money, keeps the cows healthier, keeps the brood of the cows healthier. It really just seems like a perfect storm. And then the company itself has been working on all this for years, that if they just were a one-trick pony, I would still be I'm already invested, but I would already be super interested and heavily invested into it. The fact that they have all of these other ancillary products, not least of which is the oil spill stuff. They also have something to do with sandbags in areas that have issues with flooding. That there's a couple of different things that they have their fingers in. And I'll tell you what, that the more I look into them and the more I see the share structure, which again is approximately half and half, restricted, unrestricted, 500 million shares outstanding, that they're just so amazing and everything about them. And of course, you only have to listen to the professor talk for 5 minutes to be a Kool-Aid drinking Discord member. But it really is wonderful. And again, I mean, I hate to finish on this point, but I mean, up until recently, they used to grind up cows and feed them back to themselves until the UK put the kibosh on that due to the prions and the brain material. So if the numbers and the numbers that I've seen on the Discord and from the professor are upwards of like 80 to 90% profitability due to the fact that they're taking a waste product, which is bagasse, which is the remnants of sugarcane when that's processed, that's an issue. That stuff has to be disposed of, and that costs money. So their business model is to essentially set up shop right where the actual sugarcane factory already is. You build your plant, you save on the actual shipment of the secondary product, the bagasse, to you, and then you can just disseminate, your product, the SPG plus, to wherever it needs to go. And they're right on the cusp of doing profits, which I mean, I think they did technically profit this quarter, but their next quarterly earnings, I think it's just going to erupt.
Yeah, it's going to be insane. I think that they're going to knock this thing out of the park, man. Seriously, I think we're going to see a surge in the share price. I think that you could tell that it's starting to move more consistently. But I like you said, all the things that this company has to offer, not even just for the cattle feed, is just absolutely remarkable. So, all right. Well, It's that time, guys. You know what time it is. No, it's not time to go because we're in for the long haul. It's time for the bourbon of the week. Let's do the bourbon of the week. A day today. Yes, Jefferson Reserve. Keep going. Keep filling it up. The oldest and most robust bourbon whiskey in the core Jefferson's family. Our reserve is a perfect example of the artistry of blending. This small batch blend of mature bourbon exhibits incredible nuance and complexity of flavors that only a masterful blender can unlock. The end result is a big, sophisticated bourbon whiskey with a bold, substantial palate and a long, delicious finish. It's robust enough to satisfy even the most discerning bourbon snob and smooth enough for the whiskey novice. A truly quintessential bourbon whiskey. Yes, the bourbon of the week, Jefferson Reserve. So, yeah, I got to say, after walking in the Discord room, I was good. I was good all week. I walked in the Discord room, the ILUS Discord room. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. No, that wasn't my real pour. It really wasn't. Though I'll tell you, about 3 hours ago and seeing all the baloney, I was just like, sort of taken aback and sort of funny. I'm not going to lie, guys, because everybody just lost their freaking cool. So I want to know your thoughts, but, I know you guys want to hear what Jordan and I have to say. Jordan, initial thoughts. I mean, like, I'll just say the QIND is just at a major buy right now. Like the selling on that was just stupidity, in my opinion. Stupidity.
Oh man,
in my opinion.
I thought you were about to hit me up with the Jefferson's reserve question, which even though I don't technically have it in front of me, I am hyper aware. I love it.
It's delicious.
Yeah, I think that is one of the easier, more approachable bourbons that you can find. The price point is excellent. It has never reached like that critical acclaim that just drives the price up arbitrarily that you don't want to pay for. Thanks, Ron Burgundy there, and everybody else whenever they decide to promote a Scotch. But yeah, I think it's really, really good and wonderful. What are your impressions of it? I can't remember off the top of my head. I believe it's cherry.
This one, I get a little smoke on the front. This one has a nice, smooth texture overall. It does have put teaspoon of honey in. Lance says, no, this is good, neat. I like it. It's like it reminds me a little. It has more of a little more smoke than Noble Oak. If you guys have ever tried Noble Oak, but this one particularly has that smoke. It has that a little bit of char to it. That's what I get. But I really enjoy it. At the end, it does have a little bit of that young bourbon finish, but it's good, man. This is really good bourbon. It's one of my favorites. It's become one of my favorites. I would argue that's a staple. That is like, that is the thing that when it goes on sale, you buy a case because you know that no matter what, you always just want to be able to go to the cellar and get a bottle. Yeah, this is really good. And I haven't had this
yummy.
It is. And you know what? This one the last time I had this was the last time I actually had it for the BFC, which was a long time ago. It was a while ago. But you know what? Cheers to everybody joining the live show, and cheers to all my subscribers. As the more we do these lives, the more we have CEOs, managing directors, people in the trenches of the OTC on. I want this channel to be about investing in DD and just having a good time. That's what this is all about. That's why you guys could blow up the chat section and we could get stupid together, just like the ILUS Discord room was earlier. So here's cheers to all of the faithful BFC subscribers. Cheers to you guys, and cheers to you, Jordan. Happy birthday, Jordan.
Happy birthday to me, Slancha, and cheers to all of my fellow bourbon imbibers.
Yeah. So. Iraq, turn up your volume to match Jord's, or Jord, turn down yours. No, we're good.
There's no luck in turning down Jord's volume. My mother's been trying to do it for years. If I figure it out, I will definitely let you know.
Yeah. So I'm getting drunk waiting for ILUS talk. All right, ILUS. You know what? I'm just gonna open up here and say this. Do you believe in the company? Anything could happen. Do you believe that they've been lying to us? Do you believe that this has all just been a smokescreen? Do you believe in what they're trying to do? I'm going to tell you this, and you guys sort of know how I feel about this. And I'm actually going to show a clip from the New York Stock Exchange interview in which he really lays it out. And we're going to go through that letter as well, because I think that we really need to put things in perspective. OTC traders tend to be reactive. They look for buzzwords and they freak out. They hear reverse split, they hear reverse merger, and everything's reactive. It's emotional. It's all psychological. I could tell you right now, and I did reach out to JP, and I did talk to him earlier. And I'm not going to disclose our conversation because he said that he would be willing to come back on the show, and I'm going to ask him questions. But we want to do it maybe in 2 to 3 weeks or so, when we could take some time and you guys could actually show up and ask questions. There's nothing worse that, especially with it, I've pounded the table on ILUS. Jordan, we've talked about it for a long time. These guys have laid out a plan. It's not gone perfect. It's never supposed to go perfect. Life is a path. However it goes, it goes. But the truth is, are they sticking to the plan? And overall, yes, they have. They're building a conglomerate. They're building all these different subsidiaries underneath, and they're following through. We're talking about an in and out of $250 million. All right. No other OTC company is doing that. And they're not even done. Like, they're just getting started. And so when we look at the letter, when we're talking about reverse merger, I think that could be a very, very good option for ILUS shareholders. Now, where I'm at with this, I stand by the company. I think that they have our best interest. I'm going to have JP on, and I did ask him questions in regards to, like, will our share count stay the same? And I think that he has the shareholders, him and Nick and the management team has the shareholders' best value, best interest at heart. If they wanted to really throw us under the bus, they would have done it already. They really would have.
I think I didn't have an answer for you, E-Rock, but I have one now, and I'd like to share it with you because I got it from you. What we're dealing with here is the MTV TV show My Sweet 16 Paradox. And here's what I mean. Your birthday party is only ever as good as the expectations you place upon it. No matter how grandiose the environment, no matter how good the cake, no matter how great the presents, if you feel like not having a good time at your birthday, you're going to have a bad time. The company has laid out no small amount of money, time, and work to get us where we are right now. For somebody to be upset that the Mercedes-Benz isn't exactly the right color that they ordered from their daddy and they want it right now is pretty much ridiculous. If you go back and look at their PRs, if you go back and look at what they said at the annual shareholders meetings, if you listen to their PRs, if you read the things that they put out, they have accomplished almost everything that they have said they were going to do. They said they were shooting for 2 to 3 acquisitions a quarter. Here we are almost 2 years later with 11 companies in tow. They said they were going to uplist ERT, QIND, and ILUS. Nobody with a reasonable brain in their head would have thought, oh my God, with the bull market transferring to a bear market and everybody else struggling, this is going to definitely push that out to 2 or 3 years. I expected ILUS to uplist in 2024 at the best case scenario, but realistically 2025. And now they're telling us 2023, but everybody's freaking out because the cake isn't the flavor that they wanted. I don't even know what to say to anybody other than get your priorities in order. We are literally on the cusp of something so amazing that they've all but spelled out that we're going to be getting free ILUS shareholders, and the date of record that they put, which I believe will be June 26th when they did their meeting, but it could be some other date. We're going to be getting shares of ERT because they can do that because it's a private company. We're probably not going to be getting dividends in a cash form, but that's always possible. And it could be a multitude of different things all happening at the same point. But the big takeaway here is that nobody goes to this trouble, effort, and amount of love and work because they don't love us to throw us the best birthday party ever. We are about to come full circle and shoot up and have 3 potential uplists of ERT, QIND, and ILUS. And even if all 3 of them uplist into one super company, and rather than doing the 5 subsidiaries or 4 subsidiaries underneath the parent company, does anybody really care as long as you're 1 year older, happier, safer, and healthier, and having all of your friends and loved ones around you?
I think you made an absolutely, that's right. Yeah, shout out to Rob, producer Rob. You are the man. But Jordan, that makes 100% sense. So it's sort of like the argument when they're talking about organic growth. And so somebody mentioned organic growth. They said it'd be organic. It'd be organic. Well, let's put this in perspective. If they add $200 million, all right, $200 million from an acquisition that has $200 million in revenue, or they organically make $100 million, what are you going to go with? I don't care whether it was organic or it was an acquisition or a merger. It doesn't matter. The fact that they're adding value to the company, the fact that they haven't done a rug pull on us, the fact that they're trying to get to a big board and get out of the trenches of the OTC and into something better for the shareholders says a lot. And it's all about value, and they're adding value. And at the end of the day, from day one, it's a mergers and acquisitions firm. That's what we're talking about here. So, I stand by these guys. And you know what? Stop whining about the birthday cake. You got a birthday. You got a cake. Enjoy it. Jeez Louise. What is my...
Well, yeah, and E-Rock, and I mean, and just to, kind of piggyback on what you're saying is, I think that, what tends to happen just psychologically is that, as soon as everybody, anchors themselves to the share price and says, well, the share price is going down, ergo, that must mean that the company or the other people are doing something wrong. And that's almost not ever the case in the stock market, because usually how it works is they're telling you something's amazing when it's terrible, and they're telling you something that's terrible when it's amazing. Really, you're better. You're much better served doing the opposite of what everybody tells you.
Right
now,
on. Wait, Ricker says happy birthday. And by the way, it's Ricker's birthday a couple days ago. So happy birthday to you, Ricker. So
happy birthday, Rickers. That one of the things that I enjoy so much about all of this, because again, when you're able to distance yourself emotionally from the fact that the company does not have the silver bullet to affecting the share price. If they did, they wouldn't need us. They literally have to come and court us and our money and our belief in them, because without it, then the share price can't do anything. Now, because they've been hammered, and of course, this is something external to them, now is when the rubber meets the road. And so the people that actually see this for the value that it is, and not for, another avenue or excuse to blame them or to blame other people. I especially hate it when people attack Brett Rosen. Brett Rosen's one of our biggest allies. If he had not lent us the money that he lent us, then we would still be swimming in toxic debt like so many other OTC companies. And so it seems so, just crazy to me to attack people that are basically in support of what it is that we're trying to accomplish. Is he going to make money? Oh, I hope so. I hope he makes a ton of money, because that's what we all invest for. But convertible debt basically puts you into a feedback loop of impossible profits for the regular retail people, because what they do is they keep being allowed to buy the shares at like 15 or 20% less than whatever it is. So it's in their best interest to actually run the price down. Brett's notes being actual promissory notes that are convertible at certain milestones, he can't run the price down to 2 cents and get his shares to convert at 50 cents. Yep. And then in addition to that, the people that can see through the smoke and see through the BS that's being pushed by the obvious people that it's in their best interest to short this and try to buy as many shares as they can, is that it is my belief that not only is ILUS going to uplist this year, but in order for them to be able to do this, part of it's going to be a share lockup, and that we're going to have the opportunity, and it's going to be announced only if and when they can do this at the same time, which is when they plan on doing all of it. So they're beholden to us that they have to give us some kind of quote unquote PR. But the problem with it is that they can't technically spell out the details. So they both have to keep interest in a party that's not going to happen for 2 months, but they have to make sure that people show up to the party in 2 months. Right. That's basically where they're at now. So as we get closer to the actual date that this is going to happen, which it seems like, late August, early September, based on what I've seen, that now everything that's happening is more advantageous to long-term shareholders in the company than it is to the shorts. If they were planning on doing a share buyback, having the shares at 2 cents is better than 7 cents. If they're looking to convert or buy back shares on the open market, having them lower is better. And trying to get new people to invest in your company and offering them guaranteed $2 on X date, because that's when you're going to uplist, they would prefer to have the shares at 25 cents or 14 cents or 10 cents than they would at $1.90. So even though to the retail investors who feel like they're about to be rug pulled because they've had some bad experiences in the past, all I can tell you is love is grand. And just because somebody hurt your heart doesn't mean you don't keep trying to love everyone you meet into the future. ILUS has never gone against their own best interest. They've rewarded themselves with 2 million shares to their officers of QIND shares. If they wanted their money, they would have given themselves salaries and they would have already run with the money. We are absolutely sitting in the best position ever. The only problem with it is that we're in the rowdy seats and there's a whole bunch of people spilling beer on us and telling us how shitty this game is because they're not true supporters of the team that we all showed up to watch.
And that's mild for a Bills game, actually. But no, but I think you have a really good point. Literally, that's a great point. Jordan always has a great analogy. Barry the Great says, "Why doesn't management just announce a buyback on QIND? What am I missing? Seems like they are waiting to drop great news prior to uplist. I think it's a mistake because all everyone hears is reverse split." And I think, George, you summed it up pretty nicely. Is that it's not just about it's not just about pumping and pumping and pumping. That's the whole thing. Like they're not. It's like they're holding out information. All right, they're giving information when it's necessary. They're just not going to throw out information. In talking with JP, they just can't say whatever they want. They want to do everything the right way. They're trying to avoid like lawsuits or like they don't want to do anything the wrong way. They don't want to be sued for something they could say or like even delisted. I'm not saying that's ever going to happen. I mean, like I should have said that because everybody's going to delist it. Oh my God. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they need to do things the right way. They're not just going to sit there and pump like every freaking OTC does. They're going to do their business and grow their business. Obviously, they've grown their business. If you look at the financials, they've grown their business. All right. And this is just like if you look at what QIND has done, they have grown substantially. If you look at the ILUS books, if you look at the financials, it's just one leg of the spider. You got QIND, you got the Quality Industrial Corporation, you have Hyperion. We haven't touched Hyperion yet. We have Replay Solutions, and then we have the ERT factor. All right, you have 4 quarters of this company, one of which is already pulling in about a quarter billion in and out. So like, let's be real about this. What other OTC company right now sitting at this price is doing that? You can't find one. You can't find any company that has a vision like this and that is executed and has been under the microscope and been criticized every single step of the way when they're actually doing more than what they said they were going to do. If you look at how many acquisitions they have, that's far more than they said that they were going to do. So, you know what? People are going to get pissed off because things are worded inappropriately. I don't think that this is a rug pull. I know it's not a rug pull. I know that they have the shareholders' best interests at heart. And you know what? Like they said, this is a business for the future. This isn't just like, oh, it's a 1 to 2 year, business, and then they cash it out and they're done. No, they're building this for their kids. I remember them talking about this. This is a business for the future, for their families. They're investing in themselves. And George, you talk about the salaries. Yeah, they're not paying themselves $500,000, $600,000. They're getting basic salaries for what they're worth. That's what it is. And quite frankly, if I were them, I'd pay them more because I think they've done one hell of a job, especially when it comes to acquiring and navigating out of the OTC. It's like quicksand, the OTC. I do like trading in the OTC. I like finding these companies, but it's like quicksand, and they want to get this good company out. They want to get the shareholders out, and always there's going to be a point in time where there's always somebody that's unhappy. But this is my favorite OTC stock. It still is. It always will be. And I stand by JP, I stand by Nick, and stand by what they're doing. Let's take a look at the chat section real quick.
Hey, yeah, and I got one too. So this is just one of the catch-22s that just surrounds any of these businesses, right? So, when we were dealing with Sybil, and everybody's super concerned, Sybil has government affiliations that make it so that they have to be secretive. It's literally impossible for them to tell people what's going on. So that's when it becomes, well, surprise, surprise, pivotal to actually invest in the management of the company, even more so sometimes than the business model or the future projections. Now, same with Gene Mean Calamezzo, that he's dealing with somebody who could not keep up their end of the bargain. They had their numbers, they had all their paperwork ready to go, but even giving these people a couple of chances, they were not able to provide them with the audit that they were paying for. And so even though that they knew it could potentially be construed as a shot in their own foot for the time being, they said, we'd rather get it done properly. It was somebody else. They fired them at the last minute and they went with somebody else and they're redoing it to make sure that it's correct. The same applies to ILUS. Everybody wants to know how this is going to happen because they can't wrap their heads around, because this is the only reasonable FUD floating out there, that how are they going to pay for this? And the answer is they're going to pay for it like everybody else, going through their couch cushions, trying to pick up the mats in their car, and picking up a second shift as an Uber driver just to try to raise this money. That when they actually announce it, it's going to be too late to buy in. So when you're supposed to be buying these companies is when there's fear, when there's misunderstanding, and when there's uncertainty, because that allows for the largest amount of possibility and opportunity. Once everything's spelled out and everybody knows how to make the money, everybody else is going to jump in with us. The question you have to ask yourself is a simple one. Do you trust and believe in the company? If you don't, then you shouldn't have anything to do with them. But if you do, freaking out because the share price drops 20% in one day when there's not one single piece of bad news or catalyst, and in fact, they actually dropped a PR, then a shareholders letter, and all of it was wicked good with basically a roadmap saying your treasure's buried here, and everybody goes, oh, you know what? I didn't know there was going to be reading, and I didn't bring a shovel, so I give up.
Yeah. You know what? I agree 100%. And you know what? When you talk about opportunity, all right, you say, if you don't believe in the company, then don't invest in them. You know what? I believe in the company. All right. I believe in what they're doing. So when I see the shenanigans, when I see the FUD, when I see a QIND dropping to 15 cents, which is just stupid at this point. All right. That is such a buy hit right now because of the emotional sell-off right there. And I'll tell you, it's an opportunity. I've always said this on this channel, and this is one thing I've always said is even in life, this isn't even with trading. This I try to live by this in my life every day. When I go to work, when I do my hobbies, when I do this channel, when I'm in the real estate thing now, you know, I'm working in that. But the truth is this: if you look at the obstacles in your life as setbacks, and you know, you turn around and walk away, guess what? You're not going to be successful. If you look at the setbacks, if you look at those obstacles as opportunities, you're going to find a way to succeed. And this just doesn't happen with trading because, you know what? Yes, you take some L's with trading. All right. You're always going to have, you know, you're going to have not a good player, not a good investment. Sometimes that happens. All right. And I look at it I have conviction in this play. You know, this price action for me, now it's an opportunity, a very big opportunity. So that's just common sense. I hope you guys live by that. Don't get disappointed for every, and this is the funny thing. This isn't even a negative thing. We should be celebrating this letter because it confirms a lot of things that we've talked about even privately, Jord. This is a good thing. So, you know, once the emotions get a hold of it, it just gets out of control. But the truth is that, you know, I look at any obstacle in my life as an opportunity. And so when I see a pullback in QIND, what did they call it? 28 cents? 28 cents. All right. That's where it's when WSFT switched over to QIND. I said, that's the floor right there. And lo and behold, guess what happened? It's been hanging there at 28 cents, real nice. But now we just had some emotional selling, which is going to create an opportunity for many lucky people and beyond. So I hope that people do take advantage of that. This isn't financial advice. It's just my opinion. And let's go to a couple comments right here. To a manager, it is not about the stock price at all. It is about developing the company. Take care of the growth of the company, sales, and the bottom line, and the share price will take care of itself, in my opinion. I agree with that. I think that we don't often see that, especially when we're talking about OTC stocks. It's like, it's always the talk. It's always the same thing. But I do think we have the unicorn of the OTC. All right, I do think ILUS is an exception to the rule. There's a couple companies out there that are the exception to the rule, that are creating something bigger, that don't want to get in the day-to-day of arguing with shareholders. Let's just keep looking. All right, let's look in the comment sections. A lot of comment sections. I'm going to go right down the line. Right down the line. Brian's excited today, I could tell. Chuck sharing his opinion, and that's fine. Hey, you know what? It's okay to feel that way, you know, but I want you guys to like have conviction in what you're doing, because this is about your decision. It's about your investment. Brian's excited today. And yes, he says, sing a chord, tactical reviews. Yes, tactical reviews.
It's your birthday, Tactical Reviews, and you get to decide how much fun you want to have. If you want to complain about the color of your Corvette and it's not the right one, then it's not going to be a great birthday. But for me, I'm happy to be surrounded by loved ones and friends. I'd like to give a shout out to the Discord and Ricker specifically. Happy birthday, you old B. And just remember that we all lose money. everyone loses money. And every single investment that you buy, unless you're some kind of prodigy genius or you sell it 10 minutes later, it's going to be down at some level. Granted, usually not at these levels, but we take solace in the fact that because we bought a really good company, even if we technically overpaid, and that's only technically based on the perspective of that it's allowed to be cheaper right now, even though that's not normal and it's quite a bit cheaper than it should be, is that when this actually all settles out, which we hope to be this year when they're all uplisted on bigger exchanges, that we're going to sit back and laugh and you're going to hear the same thing over and over again. Nothing from the bears and the people that didn't have anything good to say, and they're all geniuses now, even though they bought it at 40 cents, but now they're experts at 2 cents about what you should and shouldn't do. And you're not going to hear any complaints from the people that did buy it and hold it except, man, I wish I bought more. This is the time to understand that we are going to make a lot of money with this company because they've shown themselves to be aligned with us. I don't necessarily know exactly how they're going to do it, but I'll bet you dollars to donuts that I'm going to own free shares of ERT without ever having to buy them. And then I have more money invested in ILUS coming back to me than I ever put in. And the fears of reverse splits and everything else are basically being scared of a tool that has to be put in place to ensure the uplisting. They're focusing on the wrong thing. All I heard was no matter what on that date, one of our companies that ILUS owns is going to be on the New York Stock Exchange. And all they heard is, oh my God, there might be a reverse split.
It's true. No, that's the thing. That's the mentality of what we're dealing with right now. And you know what? Here, Don says, been a lot of awful big sells every day for a long time. When do you expect a reversal? It doesn't matter because they're putting a plan in place to avoid all this crap. And I think
but Don, I think the takeaway there, and this is very important because it's an absolute real phenomenon that exists within the stock community. The farther it gets away from its actual value, the larger rebound it's going to have to retrace that. Let's just say hypothetically that we're worth $100 million. And in the short term that they're able to push the price down to 20 million, it's not going to go from 20 million up to 90 million and stay there. It's going to push way past 100 million into 140 million. And the people that buy it at 140 million are going to think they got ripped off 6 months later when it retraces back to 100 million. There is a fair actual value for this company. And the only thing we all agree on right now is that it is not at its current levels. We are on sale for sure right now. Inside of 6 months or a year or 2 years, that is going to change a multitude of times. But right now, without having to do too much math, or unless you can get Fred Z on the line, it's easy to know that we are oversold. It's good time to buy. There's no chance, with the exception of the normal chances we all take in investing in any company, that we're overpaying. And when we get to the bigger markets and the larger exchanges and they actually start trading for multiples like the PE normally does, we're going to be laughing at the fact that we're trading for 60% less than fair value, not taking into account the 3 to 4 or 5 PE that we're going to get on top of that.
Think about this, and I want you guys to think about this. I remember when I made my first purchase for ILUS, May 3rd, more than 2 years ago. I remember that date because, you know, this has been a journey for me, investing in the stocks and sharing that experience with you guys. But I really firmly believe in the management. But I want you to think about this. Remember, and if you're a long holder, I'm not trying to convince you to sell, buy, or whatever. Remember the excitement when they laid out the plans. All right. We were in a state of euphoria because we were in a fake pump. Everybody was getting free money. There was a lot of influx into the OTC. Everybody wanted to become the best trader in the world. Well, a lot of us failed. I failed. Many people failed. But one thing I did is I learned. And one thing I remind myself is that I believed in that company when I listened to that first shareholder meeting in my garage. I remember right where I was, where the real fire room was. And, you know, I remember how they laid out their plan. And as we face this time right now, I want you to think about this. They're doing everything that they laid out in that plan. It's clear as day. Have some things changed? Yeah. You have to be adaptable. You have to have versatility. If you don't have that, you're not going to succeed in the business world. That's the fact. So I want you guys just to remind yourself of how you felt when you realized they were going to do all those great things. And now here we are sitting with ILUS books. They have an in and out of $250 million. All right. So we're there. It's not being totally respected in regards to the share price. And George, you just explained all this. So I don't know. I'm very happy, because I know what I own. I know we always hear those stupid phrases that people post all the time, but yeah, I'm 100% ILUS. I'm 100% in all this, and I'm happy with the letter that they just put out. So let's look here. Hey, Jord is smart. I knew that one.
Thank you, Tactical Reviews. No, like I said, this
is awesome.
this is
He's been here. Yeah, do you know what am I making sense, George? Does this make sense? Like, I'm just trying to
listen, you're making sense, but that's why I love you so much, because even in the moment, you're already getting grandiose for the nostalgia of how good it made you feel based on the future good feelings are incoming, right? That's called investing, because we're not getting emotional about the current share price, which is really just a metric of value versus price, right? How much are you getting for how much does it cost? And I would argue that you're getting a whole bunch of ILUS right now for how much it costs to buy ILUS. If I told you how much you could buy my share stack for right now, as opposed to what I paid for it, I feel like I'm sitting on a very expensive Corvette. Okay, it doesn't take away from the underlying value of the Corvette. It does mean that Kyle overpaid by quite a bit. But that being said, the big takeaways here is that it's in a collective effort. You've got your Eagle, you've got Rickers, you've got Fred Z, you've got all the mods at the Discord and the Discord. You have all the new people that are throwing their hats into the ring and super excited. They don't necessarily know everything, as none of us do, but they're super excited to be part of it. And then you have all these other people that think they've already figured out who's going to win at the end of the game at halftime. Now, I might lose my money. Everybody else who bet on this stock can still lose their money. There's no guarantees. But what I'll tell you I will not do is I will not pretend to know how the outcome of the game is going to be 35 or 40 minutes before the game is over. They have done so much work, and they have somehow managed to figure out something that none of us thought was possible 6 months ago. And they consistently keep delivering on what they've promised, what they said they were going to do. And the only question we have right now is how in God's earth are they going to pay for all of this wonderfulness? Because apparently we're all moving into a palace that's going to be like, done with, the finest of mahogany, leathers, and marble.
We need granite countertops. We do. Okay. By the way, you just reminded me of the Bills-Oilers game. Yeah, that was one of the best comebacks ever until the Minnesota Vikings pulled one on us last year. But hey, I had to do a football reference right there. But no, seriously, it's not over. It's not over. We're just getting started. They are just getting started, and they're laying it all out there for us to see. You can be a part of it, or you don't have to be a part of it. That's it. And that's where my conviction lies. Let's play a clip. Oh, hey. When are we starting the ILUS Fantasy Football League? I started out pretty strong with that, but that's an Alex question. Alex, you could answer that in the comment section. Let's take a look at a clip from the latest New York Stock Exchange interview with JP Backwell. Let me pull this thing up right here, because I think that he really just sums it up very nicely. All right. And Jordan, I'm going to kick us out of here.
That they're in those growth areas that we've spoken about.
So now I read this press release about the Quality Industrial Corp. You were just referring to it, QIND, ticker symbol. They're skipping the QB stepping stone, planning a straight up list. Can you provide some context about that, or maybe a timeline?
Yeah, sure. So QIND, we about to announce the investment bank that's going to be underwriting its offering. So I think by the time this video has aired, or this interview is aired, that will have been announced. It will be filing a pre-14C, its S1 registration statement, and its NYC American application. Once the application and the S1, the application is approved and the S1 registration statement is effective, QIND will be uplisting to the NYC.
And how would that uplisting impact ILUS's shareholders and the financial outlook for the company?
I'll touch on that now. Just quickly, you mentioned time frame. So we expect that uplisting to take place roughly between late August and the end of September. So all going well. If you look at the processes and how long they take, mid to late August is really would be the sweet spot for us in terms of that uplisting. In terms of benefits to ILUS and how it benefits the bottom line and the shareholders, it obviously adds huge underlying value to ILUS. I mean, ILUS is a company which already has over $250 million in assets, but we would expect, I certainly would expect that uplisting would increase the balance sheet of ILUS. It also would allow ILUS, I mean, ILUS owns more than 70% of the stock in QIND, so it would allow ILUS to secure financing against that stock, which then means we can close some of the larger deals that we're currently targeting with. So it's increased growth opportunities for the business, which is obviously of huge value for shareholders. But I also know that shareholders want tangible value, right? So we're currently discussing a dividend for ILUS shareholders that would take place around the uplisting.
What about an ILUS uplisting? Would that put you in a position to list on a national exchange? And would you do that here in the U.S.?
Yeah, we would look at doing it here in the U.S. to a national exchange still this year. In the meantime, though, we've applied to uplist to the OTCQB, and after the uplisting of QIND, we'll focus then on the uplisting of ILUS to a national exchange. We've got a very out of the box method of being able to do it. I don't think anyone would really see it coming, but the important thing is that we get it up. It meets all of the requirements as it is, except for in terms of bid price. So the idea would be that through that out of the box solution, technically would be able to move it up to a national exchange.
Okay, well, please.
Out of the box. Out of the box. So he literally says it right there. If you can't see it, I don't know what to tell you, dude. Jordan, am I losing my mind?
No, listen.
No, it's right there. He's right there, and be a part of it or no. I don't know.
Yeah,
Jordan,
listen.
Jordan, preach, Jordan.
Every time I hear somebody talk bad about ILUS, I feel like you're listening to a first week gym trainer trying to give JP tips. That guy stacks more plates than a waiter at a Mexican restaurant, right? This is somebody who doesn't know how to fail. Every single time they go in to do a deal, they come out with the other end with a better deal than we were told before. Mm-hmm. We thought Serbia was like, potentially not still on the table. And honestly, that would have been a huge source of contention for, I think, all of us, because I know that it was a big part of their plan with manufacturing. Yes, there was a delay. Yes, there was a transfer of power due to an election in Serbia. And then all of a sudden, once all the dust settled, they didn't just get the deal sealed, but they got it even better than they expected to get it before. Right. And that seems to be a common metric with them. Oh, we're sorry, there was a delay that was outside of our control. But all of a sudden, now that we've been able to get our hands dirty and get back in there, not only did we make sure that the original deal was still in place, but we were actually able to add another couple of things that we were not privy to because of the additional time that we were allowed due to the delay that was outside of our control. The key word with the ILUS, which a lot of people don't realize is Latin for pivot, is they get things done irregardless of what the conditions around them are. And you cannot ask for a better skill set from the managing partners and officers from your company than the ability to think on their feet and to change with the conditions, rather than have a hard, fast plan that doesn't have any variability built into it, so that any one single limiting factor can prevent it from coming to fruition.
Change with the conditions. Yeah. I just said it. Adaptability, versatility. These guys got it, and that it's unbelievable. It was right out there. It's right out there. Yeah, like Tony says here, today's drop with ILUS and QIND was silliness and pure emotion. All right, on nothing more than emotionally charged ignorance. I have more shares thanks to the misguided trigger fingers today. Yeah, good for you, Tony. All right, no, I'm not condoning buying or selling, but
stay strong, man, because again, this is not a community, and I think people do not make this distinction. So let me spell it out here. This is not a community that basks in schadenfreude or wants anybody to fail. We're all in the same boat. We all want the same thing. But the moment that your behavior, attitude, or belief in the viability of our boat keeping us all afloat changes, then yes, we don't want you on our boat anymore. That is not a cult. That is not basically being misguided. That is us saying, listen, you're either with us or against us. If you want to sit back and think that you've made all the wrong choices in life and that it's advantageous for you to sell on the cusp of all this amazing news and all these uplists and all these other PRs that they're doing, that is up to you, and nobody else can make the decision but you. But the moment that you blame anyone else for your decisions, you've basically already failed the first metric of investing, which is this money is gone as soon as it leaves your hands. If it comes back as more than you invested, you win. But if it doesn't, you can't get all upset about it, because the God's honest truth is that investing is inherently very risky.
Yes, it is.
We care that every person that bought this company makes money. We all want to make money. But again, if you had to choose, just a hypothetical, but if you had to choose for QIND to uplist and have to use a reverse split to uplist to get to a bigger board, or to not uplist at all and just go down the drain, what would you pick?
Precisely.
And we don't even know that that's going to be a necessity. We just know that they're putting all of the tools that they need to make sure that it's a successful uplist. And so it could easily uplist without any of that, because unlike retail investors and people that don't necessarily delve as deep as, say, your Sam Akers or your Egals, that when they actually look at the numbers, that's all they care about. They don't care about what the temperature of everybody's emotions on YouTube is. They go, company makes 300 million, they're charging 100 million. Yeah, we'll take that.
Yeah. Sam Aker, you mentioned him. He picked a hell of a time to go on vacation. Sam, if you're watching this, if you're watching this and you're on vacation with your family, you're probably going to get in trouble. But he picked a hell of a time to go on vacation, because it would have been great to have him on and get his insights. But Jordan, man, I completely agree with you. I love the sentiment. I love, you know what? This is when conviction will. This is when the level of your conviction is going to show. All right, and so, are you with ILUS or are you not? You know what? Leave your comments down below. If you're watching a replay on this, tell us what you think. And you know, I'm not the kind of person to argue or delete comments, or whatever. You know, you're allowed to have a bearish opinion, but like, there is a lot of optimism within the community, and I see a lot of great things happening. Yeah, I put I'm not going to go through the letter today. I actually put it in the comment section. So if you scroll up to the top, do your DD, read through it. There's so much to be thankful for and happy about. You know, so this is just short-term pain, and I think we're going to have extremely long-term gain. And I think these guys are looking out for us long-term. I know they are. I've talked to JP. He's going to be on the show in 2 to 3 weeks. Listen, guys, if you're listening, if you're watching right now, and you're invested in this company, and I have a live Q&A, which I might do earlier because now I have more flexibility with my schedule. If I get JP on, show up so that way you could ask good questions in regards to your investment. Why do you think I have Igpk on? I've had Triple DX. I've had all these guys. Why? Because I want to give you guys DD. I ask the questions, they give you answers, but this is all about you guys asking the questions, all right? This is an open DD platform, and I want to make it a positive one. So I want you guys to, yes, yeah, Michael's saying that he is on his honeymoon. So yeah, what the heck, Sam? Don't go on your honeymoon. Come to the BFC. Nah, I'm just kidding. But no, seriously, guys. Jordan, I want to say thank you very much for coming on. And, you know, you and I have become great friends through this ILUS journey. And I look forward to the future memories that we're going to share, my friend. And this is more exciting than people realize right now.
No, listen, it's really, truly been my pleasure. You know, I think that the most important part of investing is very much like kind of the central theme of the movie Dune, that it's the journey, not the destination, that is important. And so as we get tempered, you know, and anger and you know, pain and all these different negative emotions that come with investing, with that comes a more callous shell and the ability to see through the BS. And then eventually you go, hey, why do they keep trying to convince us that the share price is terrible now? If they try to convince me the share price was terrible at 48, I wouldn't have listened. But right now, you don't have to convince anybody because they all think it's true because the share price is down. So where is all of this passion coming from for all these quote unquote people that are trying to help us out? And I would argue that it's not genuine. It's just them lashing out because they just think that this is what happens to companies, that when you have faith, when you have belief in somebody. What I would say is take a step back. Look at what the company said a year ago, look at what they said 2 years ago, and see how much of that they've accomplished. And when you see that not only are they accomplishing it, but they're even doing it in the quarters that they said they were going to do it, that to me bodes a lot better as an indicator of future expectations than anything currently in the share price. Because if you do the math on the volume, and of course we did like 24 million today, but traditionally 3 million or 4 million shares is only $80,000. That means somebody with $80,000 can make the share price go any direction they want. That is why they're trying to leave, to go to the bigger boards. And when we get on those larger exchanges, it is going to be, bye, Felicia, because everybody's going to laugh at the fact that, yes, there's still risk, and yes, there's still problems that they're going to have to deal with there, but they're going to have so much less to deal with all these naked shorts and all these other people manipulating it, because the volume's going to go up exponentially, and that makes technical analysis more useful, and it makes the people that are trying to fraudulently hold down the price exponentially more difficult for them to do with much higher volume.
Yep. Right on. Guys, I know there were a couple other stocks that I was going to cover tonight, but obviously I'm going to move that to the next live, or probably before then I'll do some updates. Jord, I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. Rob, producer Rob, USM Surayo. I guess, I don't know. How do we say it? USM Cryo, USMC Ryo. Rob, how do we say that? You have the coolest name, though, I got to say. But Rob's been great, and he's a great Discord member, but he's helping me with some production work for the channel. So I appreciate everybody, guys. Yeah, thanks, Rob. And thank you to everybody that has been tuning in live. You know what? I urge you guys, even whether I'm covering ILUS, CYBL, GRPS, any of these guys, anytime I have like a CEO on, even if you're not invested, just jump on and ask a question. You never know. You might find an investment that you may want to a potential investment that you may want to partake in. I appreciate you guys. This has been great.
Hey, Rock, and I would argue this. You have one of the better sign-off lines, and I'll let you do your sign-off line. But I would just like to make
today.
No. Well, maybe I would like to make an amendment to it. I said, if you guys think that we're a community right now and we're doing all of this with the share price being in the toilet, we're at 52-week lows, everything seems to be crumbling around you, and the only thing that you have is a couple of people who drink bourbon on YouTube and your own eyes and your own due diligence, then can you imagine the kind of camaraderie there's going to be in 6 months when we have 3 companies uplisted out of the major exchanges and we're all laughing and dancing and doing jigs? And I believe a smarter man than me once said, there's more that binds us than breaks us. We are absolutely on the right path and on the right track. And these may be our darkest days, but we're also a lot closer to the sunlight than we are to the past glory.
And on that note, I'm going to leave at that. You nailed it, Jord. Guys, have a great night. And remember, Jord just said it. Peace out, guys. We're done.